Hello everyone, welcome to this guide by Built by Bands. Today's guide is going to be over advanced squat techniques. So before we begin, the first disclaimer is I'm going to assume you've now completed your first 12-week program for X3, and that you've also watched the previous two videos I've made about getting into position and keeping your form correct through the squat. And as always, these guide videos are supposed to augment the actual X3 program, not replace it. So make sure you're always going to the official source first for information and the protocol, and then just use this as kind of extra learning or additional tips and advice. So having said that, I'm assuming you know how to do the front squat now. You're very comfortable with the program, and we're going to go over ways to really maximize what you get out of the squat, and some little tweaks you can do to your exercises to really ensure that you are putting a lot of work into your legs before your cardio fails you. I will also put out the disclaimer that doing these are still going to make you extremely winded. From personal experience, I have to spend a good 10 to 15 minutes after I finish my squats just recovering. I think you can see this couch here. I collapse on this sucker for a good 10 minutes before I even try to stand up, and then it takes me another 10 to 15 to kind of really slow my heart rate and drink some water and kind of rest before I try to do anything. So if you're going to do these advanced techniques, make sure you've got the time to recover and that you don't have to go rush off to like a work meeting or something, because you're going to be struggling. Okay, enough of the disclaimers. So what we're going to do with the squats, you can kind of call them pause squats. So instead of just going to the top and coming down quick and going back up, what you're going to do is get almost all the way locked out at the top so that your knees are still slightly bent. You're not locking out, you're just slight bend so that your quads are still flexing real hard. And then as you go down, instead of just dropping and letting gravity do the work, you need to slow yourself down and then pause in that parallel position here. The tension's going to be a lot lower because we're using variable resistance, but you're really going to have to work to slow your movement under control and then pause for a second and then come up out of it, not bouncing out of the bottom. So a lot of people, when they start doing front squats, they let gravity fall and then they kind of bounce off their knee joint at the base. And one, that's a little bit dangerous because you're putting a lot of pressure on your knee joint and your hips a little bit. But two, you're really shortchanging yourself because instead of forcing your muscles to flex and hold your weight and the pressure, you're kind of letting gravity help you. And so you're really missing about half of the effectiveness of the front squat. So I have started incorporating these now for probably 6 months. It's really not it's not a giant paradigm shift in the front squat. It's just a different way of controlling it from what most people typically do instinctively. And it requires a lot of concentration. You need to be very confident in your ability to hold neutral spine, keeping your elbows high, and feeling secure at the base of the lift. So a way you can do this, I'll demonstrate in a second, but before you do your first rep, you can kind of get in position and then slightly flex just a little to kind of elevate just an inch and kind of feel how that feeling is for your body, and figure out that balance. And if you're comfortable holding that position, an inch or two up, then you're probably ready to start doing these in the actual exercise. So the key factors I just want to hit over real quick before I demonstrate is never locking out at the top. At the bottom, you're going to slow into the base of the lift, and you're going to pause relatively parallel. Okay, everyone's different shapes, so your legs might look a little different than someone else's. But in that position where you're flexing very hard at the base and not allowing your muscles to relax, and then slowly and controlled coming up out of it. You don't want to bounce out of the base. So those are the three fundamentals. As always, neutral spine is super important. You never want to be curling your spine or arcing it backwards. And your elbow position on the front squat is paramount, because the second you lose elbow position, especially with these, the band is going to want to come forward, and you're probably going to lose it, and you're not going to get much out of it because you're going to break form pretty quickly. So those are kind of going without saying. The last piece of advice before attempting these is you probably need to drop a band, potentially 2. So today for my workout, I did 29 reps with the black band doing these squats. and I was absolutely wiped. For reference, when I don't do super controlled pause squats, I can do around 25 with the elite band. So that gives you a frame of reference. I had to drop almost an entire band and got just about the same amount of reps as I would with the elite band, even though this is significantly less tension. So I recommend going down maybe 2 bands the first time you try this to really get comfortable with it. And then as you start easing into being able to maximize this technique, upping the bands and really progressing your squats. So let me demonstrate it real quick so you can see what I'm talking about now that we've talked about the fundamentals. Okay, so get into your squat just like normal. And so the first demonstration I'll do is kind of talking about feeling what it's like at the base. So instead of just coming from this position and launching into my first squat, I take my deep breath to fill my abdomen with air, and I kind of squat up about 2 inches. So it's very subtle, but see, I'm relaxed, I get neutral spine, and then this is all legs here. So that's the position we're going to at the base. So get comfortable in that spot, feel what that's like before you attempt to do this coming down. Okay, so now let me show you a couple reps, real-time speed that I do these, so you can see what it looks like. Okay, so notice at the top, my knees are still bent. Everything is flexing very hard right now. My legs are under constant tension, and then I'm slowly going down and pausing, coming up out of the bottom. Okay, pause, come up out of the bottom. All right. So as you can already see, I'm already starting to breathe pretty hard. That was only like what, 6 reps. It's very taxing, but it's super effective at really targeting your legs. If you have finished your 12 weeks, maybe longer, and you still don't really feel like you're getting much out of the front squat in terms of feeling the burn in your legs, give this a shot. I don't really count the pause. I just make sure that I have completely stopped movement. I take a mental break real quick to prepare for the next movement, and that's pretty much sufficient. You don't need to spend like 5 seconds at the bottom, because that's just going to be counterproductive. You just want to make it so you're going down slowly, under control, take a second or 2, and then load for the next one and go to the top. Never lock out on either end, and keep that constant tension. You will get winded, but I promise you, you're going to feel it in your legs. Like literally today, I'm not exaggerating, I could not stand when I was done. The burn in my legs was so intense, it was almost painful, like in the wrong way. And I had to just literally lay down for like 10 minutes. So this will definitely do it for you. I also recommend doing this as the last exercise on your push day, because like I said, it just wipes you out. So you want to make sure that you have enough left to finish your workout. So I typically start with my chest press, then I do the overhead press, then I do my triceps. I wait a minute or 2 to make sure I'm fully ready for the squats, and then I give absolutely everything I have because I know that I don't have to hold anything back. I go till I can't do it anymore, and then that's it. So that's kind of an advanced squat guide. Again, do the program as intended, finish your first 12 weeks, and then consider this after you've really gotten comfortable with the squat. If you're not sure how your form is or something like that, reach out here, talk in the users group, ask for feedback on your form, because if you don't have the form down, you're not going to be able to do these effectively, and it won't be helpful for you. So as always, be safe, be smart, and good luck.